Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com. Apple announced a new innovation to its Apple Card today called Apple Card Family. That's not nearly as innovative as Apple would like you to think it is. We are going to talk all about that, but first I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So you got to kind of hand it to Apple. They are very good at taking ideas that already exist, putting them in sort of a new package, prettying them up, and then acting as if they came up with the idea and they have done something very innovative. And this new Apple Card Family, I don't know, set of tools or features or whatever you want to call it is another example of this. So before I kind of talk about what the individual pieces are, I want to read you this quote from Jennifer Bailey, who is the Vice President of Apple Pay. She says, "We designed Apple Card Family because we saw an opportunity to reinvent how spouses, partners, and the people you trust most share credit cards and build credit together. There's been a lack of transparency and consumer understanding in the way credit scores are calculated when there are two users of the same credit card, since the primary account holder receives the benefit of building a strong credit history while the other does not. Apple Card Family lets people build their credit history together equally." And then building off of the premise that with the existing credit cards out there on the market, more than one person could not build credit off of the same credit card account, Apple outlines Apple Card Family, which essentially allows multiple people to use the same credit card and potentially help them all build up their credit history. So here's how it works. Up to 5 people can share in the same Apple Card credit card. They all have to be within the same family sharing plan with their Apple IDs and all that kind of stuff. And then they can all share in this card. It will show up in all of their iPhones or iPads in the wallet. Everyone has to be at least 13 in order to be someone that can share in using the credit card. Now, 2 of the people sharing the Apple Card in this Apple Card family could be what Apple is calling co-owners, meaning they are both equally responsible for making sure that the credit card bill gets paid off every month, and when the usage of that card is reported to the major credit reporting bureaus, they would both essentially get the same treatment with each of those bureaus. So each one of their credit files would have the same information sent out from Apple to the major credit reporting bureaus, and so they would essentially be building credit equally, at least on this particular credit card. And then anyone else using the card would be known, at least to Apple, as participants, meaning they can use the card, but they're not responsible for paying it back. If they're under 18, the usage of that card would not be reported to the credit bureaus. If they are over 18, they would have the option of having the credit usage reported to the credit bureaus, and this could help them build up their credit history. And then finally, if you had a couple and each one of the people in that couple has a separate Apple Card, those 2 cards can now be combined into one Apple Card account. And if I understand correctly, the credit lines of each of those cards would also be combined. So if you had 5,000 over here and 7,000 over there, you could combine those 2 card accounts into one account with a $12,000 credit line, for example. So those all sound like good things, and they are, but they're nothing new. Apple just took ideas that already existed out there in the credit card landscape, gave them new names, bundled them together, and acted as if they were an innovation. First off, Apple's idea of having a co-owner of a credit card is exactly the same as what has always been known as a joint owner. Having a joint owner of a credit card account means that both people jointly own the credit card account. They are both equally responsible for paying off the credit card account, and their activity on that card is going to be reported equally to the major credit reporting bureaus. And then what Apple calls participants is what everybody else in the credit card industry calls authorized users. An authorized user is someone that is authorized to use somebody else's credit card, but they're not responsible for paying the bill on that credit card. So a credit card holder might add their child as an authorized user, they might add a spouse, they might add somebody else as an authorized user. So for the child, maybe they're doing it so that they have a credit card for convenience, maybe they are doing it to help them build credit. If the credit card actually reports to the credit bureaus, which most of them will for authorized users, well then that can help the authorized user to build up their credit history. So Apple says participants, everybody else says authorized users. Now, to be fair to Apple as well as to Goldman Sachs, who actually issues the Apple Card, while the idea of the co-owner is not an innovation, it is essentially the same as a joint owner. This is something that isn't really done in the credit card industry too much anymore. Most credit card companies don't allow joint ownership of a credit card account like they used to. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe it's because if you have only one person responsible for a credit card account versus two people, it's a lot easier to sue one person than it is to sue two people, especially if those two people have gotten a divorce and there's a lot of paperwork that would be involved in getting those bills paid. So maybe Apple and Goldman Sachs are going to find out that the idea of co-ownership is not so smart once they actually go down this road. But most credit card companies these days want those authorized users. If you want to add a husband or a wife or a child or whoever onto your account, they don't want you doing it through co-ownership. They want you doing it through one person being in charge of the account and the other people being authorized to use the account, but only one person is responsible for paying off that account. Now, in terms of credit reporting and credit scoring, the authorized user model sort of gives you the same thing as the joint ownership model in the fact that the authorized user can have the card's usage and payment history reported on their credit file as well as on the credit file of the card holder. However, the downside of the authorized user model, if you are the authorized user, is the fact that the person that owns the card can kick you off of that card and you would lose that history that was on that card when you were the authorized user. So it's sort of like you never existed on that card if they kick you off, where if you were a joint owner, you have that payment history, you have that card usage history because you were responsible for that card. So there is a difference there, and with Apple having this co-owner model or participant model, they are sort of giving their customers the option to either be that joint ownership and have that credit history stick, or be the authorized user with the idea that, that credit history could potentially go away. So there's nothing to dislike with Apple Card Family and what they are doing here. It's just not particularly innovative. It's nothing new. Joint ownership and authorized users is something that we have seen in the credit card industry for a very long time. Now, Apple would be somewhat justified in saying they are bringing joint ownership back through their co-owner label here because of the fact that so much of the credit card industry has phased out that idea, but otherwise these are things that have existed for a very long time. So nothing wrong with this idea. It could be kind of cool if Apple is what is used in your home. It's definitely a way for Apple to make more money off of you and for you to sort of parcel out those cards to everyone that you might want to have use them. Questions, comments, I'd love to hear them in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.